Good morning and welcome to Monday edition of Brewing Happiness, Magic Monday. Here we are again, ready to start the week, magic to make it into the best, happiest week ever, right? So, stuff. Today we're talking about stuff. I got a lot of stuff. I don't know about you. Emotional attachment. Good morning, Debbie. Let's see. I'm a little late starting this morning. I have to apologize. First, I had a little technical difficulties and got started and had to exit and come back. So anyway, here we are. So emotional attachment to objects. Object attachment, sometimes called hoarding disorder, is a psychological disorder characterized by difficulties discarding possessions and excessive clutter in living areas that can result in significant stress, reduction in functioning. I'm not a hoarder yet. I mean, I'm working really hard on not being. I don't like clutter. I don't like things sitting around in stacks where I can see them, but closets and shelves and garage, I don't know. Things are important to us. Yet things are important to us, right? We like to say we're not materialistic, and yet we got little things around us. I got my crown and my happiness little sign that sit on my desk every morning, right? I have stuff. Things become extensions of ourselves. We use them to signal to the world who we are, maybe who we want to be, right? Our stuff is infused with the energy of our lives, right? It carries our memories, our emotions, our energy. Things are part of our lives. That's just the way it is, right? By 2 years old, we know the meaning of the word mine, right? By 6 years old, we have something called an endowment effect. Oh, sorry, I have a piece of hair that is bugging me. Okay, we have something called the endowment effect. That means we love something just because it is or it ever was ours. I think we can all relate to that, right? Kids 2 to 4 have the feeling that whoever touches something first is the owner, even after you've given it away or shared it or whatever. So you wonder why it's so hard for little kids to share, right? As late teens, our attachment to things is kind of at its highest. Coincidentally, that's the time in our life. Oh, well, there it is right there. That's the hair that's bugging, right? Coincidentally, that's the time in our lives where our self-esteem is the lowest, those teenage years. And so we glom onto stuff, right? From a neural perspective, we always like to talk about our brain. Absorption of objects into self-identity may be more than a metaphor. In 2010, Kyungi Kim and Marcia Johnson did a test where they studied participants' brains as they allocated objects to a container marked as mine, imagining that they were going to own them, or to a container marked with someone else's name, right? Fooling the brain. But shockingly, extra activity was observed in the medial frontal cortex in response to the sight of the owned items compared with control items allocated to others. We like our stuff. The same area of the medial prefrontal cortex was activated when participants rated how much various adjectives described their own personality. So, areas of the brain that are known to be involved in thinking about the self are also the same areas that are involved when thinking about our stuff and ownership. So, no shock that we are emotionally and energetically attached to our things. And this brain discovery, right, that the thing that when we're talking about our characteristics of ourself and we're talking about the objects that we own, we're lighting up the same portion of our brain. It kind of describes why we maybe have a midlife crisis, right? Why you turn to stuff at times when life is hard. When maybe those feelings about self, description of self, our idea of self starts to change, very likely the things around you begin to change too, right? With ownership, though, with ownership comes envy, right? That's how we learn to envy. Even as a small child, we see something we want and we envy, we covet, we want it, right? We want to live simply. We want to focus on things that are important, live in the moment, be kind and generous, lead with love, focus on what's important, and yet we still love our things. I'm going to show you some things here. So here, I don't know, I spent so much time getting my camera ready this morning. Here we have my amazing shelf of things. I can't really show you the whole thing because my camera's a little wonky this morning, but you can see it's filled with important mementos from my life that I can't seem to let go of. Like I said, I keep the Queen of Happiness on my desk. I keep a rock, my favorite rock, that I just love this rock, so I keep it. I have a little bit of ocean water from a very important goddess ceremony that I attended. There's a little tiny bit of sand in the ocean water from that night on the beach, which was very impactful to me. This is just within my reach of my desk, right? I'm sure everyone if you think quickly about what you have in your life. I have stuffed animals, Curious George. Got him at a garage sale. I love Curious George. Kids don't really like him. They don't know who he is. I love him. He was 50 cents. He's mine. I got Baby Yoda. I love Baby Yoda, Cat in the Hat, right? I got a few pieces of clothes I can't let go of. I've got a shirt from 1992. Went to a concert, had one of the guys from the band sign the back of my concert. A very dear friend and I bonded over this same musician, Mary Chapin Carpenter, and we went to her concert and stood in line afterwards and had my t-shirt signed. I still have that t-shirt. I sleep in it every once in a while, right? I got a volunteer t-shirt. I went to Washington, D.C. and did a big volunteer thing in 2009. It was really fun. I still got the bright yellow volunteer t-shirt. I don't really wear it, but it's tucked up in my closet. I don't want to get rid of it. It means something to me, right? It's not all bad. Objects aren't all bad. They can bridge us to other people, places, times. They create meaning and comfort. I didn't write down the names, but maybe this is this. But I have to apologize because I didn't write down the names of someone who started something called the Burning House Project, which had people just think about if your house was burning and you just had a couple of minutes to grab what you love and get in the car. What are you taking with you? He said you find out interesting things about people when they start. The project was you would take a picture of the things you would say, right, and post it. But it was an interesting study in what people cared about and saved, what they considered irreplaceable, what they grabbed on their way out the door. Turns out there's really two kinds of materialism, right? According to Dr. Mihaly, Sissons. I don't even want to hurt this person's name. Here's what we're going to do. Because I have this cool technology, I can say, wait. Armando. Oh, whoops. Control V. Enter. Oh, I did it a couple times. Ha 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 ha. All right, and then I can show it. Anyway, here's this guy's name. Please forgive me because I can't say it. A distinguished professor of psychology at Claremont Graduate University, Dr. Mihaly, Dr. C, we'll call him, says terminal materialism is the kind that's typically described as shallow, empty, wanting things for their own sake, right? Or to impress others. That's the materialism we all go, oh, I'm not materialistic, and we stand back. But there's also something called what inspires someone to save something from their burning house. That's more instrumental materialism. When the object is a bridge to another person, to another feeling, Dr. C says. Now, years ago, I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. Years ago, I worked in corporate America. I was a cube kid, right? I lived my life in a cube, and we moved cubes often. There's always reorganization. They're always jettisoning you off from one cube to the other. And I was in the process of moving down from the second floor to the first floor, and a box of things that I had collected, not work things, of course, personal things that I had collected, somehow got thrown out, marked unbreakable, maybe mistaken for basura. But it was tossed out, and I lost a snow globe that a friend had brought me from Peru, 2 hummingbirds around a beautiful iris in a snow globe. I had a ceremonial Korean hat that one of the girls that worked for me had traveled home to Korea and made it a point to bring this gift to me. I had some little ceramic clogs. I'd had business visitors from Denmark, and we'd had a beautiful dinner and just bonded on a beautiful, wonderful night. And they left me these little shoes to remember them by. I had a case on my desk at work, all these little things that I loved. And this was the box of, not the box of folders, right? Not the box of binders and work crap that can be replaced, but all my beautiful memorabilia, gifts mostly, had been lost. And I was crushed. And it dawned on me that the things, I didn't wear the Korean hat. I rarely shook the snow globe, right? The things that I lost it wasn't the things that I was feeling the loss of. I mean, yes, they were, of course, but it was the memories. Each of those things had a memory attached to it, a very significant emotional memory that was important to me. And when I lost them, I realized that the thing, I didn't care about the thing. I cared about never remembering what had happened. So I sat down and I made a list of everything I could remember that I lost. And I kept that list. I still have it. Every once in a while, I take it out and look at it since I can't look over at those things on my shelf anymore. I just pull out the list to remember those memories. But it was a big lesson in stuff, losing stuff. Things embody goals. They make skills manifest. They shape identities of their users, writes Dr. C. and Eugene Rochberg Halton in their 1981 book, The Meaning of Things. Man is not only Homo sapiens, he is also Homo faber, the maker and user of objects. His self, to a large extent, a reflection of things with which he interacts. Okay, so we're not crazy when we lose things and we're really, really sad about it. There's nothing to feel guilty about or feeling that you're too materialistic when you do legitimately lose something you cared about. The loss of possessions, this is again from the book, The Meaning of Things. The loss of possessions, once deeply associated with the self, can cause real grief. Real grief. If your house was burning and you had no time to save your favorite things, you might feel like you'd lost part of yourself. And the other interesting observation from this study was people who said they didn't have any special objects, turned out they didn't have any special relationships either. How we form relationships, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? How we form relationships with others is correlated to the relationships we form with the things in our lives, right? Remembering to bring warmness and kindness and use those things to remember good moments in our life. But yet, as I read in the very beginning, too much attachment can stuff leads to disorders, stress, materialism, coveting and wanting, and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So maybe we do want to talk about how to get rid of some stuff. I personally am in a decluttering phase in my life. I think as we get older, and the studies back this up too, as we get older, our attachment to things can reduce. And as we start realizing that what's important in our lives, we are able to lose a box of stuff and just say, meh, I'll just remember the memories. I'll just remember the nice memories that came with those things. And as we get older, unless you're good at getting rid of things on a regular basis, I know people like that, and sadly, that is not me. But as we get older, the accumulation of stuff just gets overwhelming, right? You have things that you loved when you were a child, when you were a teenager, when you were in your 20s, when you were in your 30s, when you were in your 40s, and now when you were in your 50s, maybe even your 60s. We accumulate things we love. And I don't know, some of us, not that good of letting go of the things that we don't love. So as I look around my house right now, it has twice as many things as we need, things we never touch, things we step over and deal with in order to get to the things we really want to use. It's exhausting. So this is my big project: declutter, organization, a place for everything in its place. I don't know about you, clutter makes me nervous. To walk into the room and have things sitting around just makes me feel out of sorts. Years ago, we were doing a remodeling of our house, and all the rooms were being remodeled. The living room, the bedroom, everything at one time. There wasn't a space in the house. Everything was moved out of place and shoved against the wall. There wasn't a place big enough to lay your hand down on a table anywhere. And finally, I said, we must finish one room. We must, because we're trying to do all the electrical, all the drywall, everything. So it made sense to do them all parallel, right? So I finally said, we must stop this insanity and finish one room. There must be one room where I can walk into and not feel that nervous energy from clutter. I don't know. Do you feel that way? I'd love to know. Let me hear from you. What do you think about clutter? Does it bug you? Is it a problem? Maybe it's just me. Anyway, how do you let go of stuff? How do you let go of the stuff that has sentimental value? That's what we're going to talk about next, right? Well, here's a couple of tips on getting rid of stuff. Number one, these aren't in any particular order or importance, just an accumulated list. Get rid of easy stuff first. Stuff that you kind of can't stand looking at, but you just haven't taken the effort to pick it up and move it out. A few years ago, my man's mother passed away. She lived in a house for 50 years. And I'll just say she was a collector, not a hoarder. I don't think she had reached hoarding status, but a collector for sure. I cleaned out, it took me weeks and weeks and weeks to clean out her house, this house that we now live in. Weeks and weeks and weeks. It was exhausting to find out how much trouble it is to even give things away, right? It's a lot of work. So start with the easy stuff first. Put a bag in the garage that's marked Goodwill or Salvation Army or whomever you like to donate to. And when you see stuff annoying you, put it in the bag. If you really want it, you'll go back out and get it. If you miss it later, but if you put it in the bag and you never think about it again, you never really love it, right? Secondly, think about the motivation behind keeping things. It was really eye-opening to me when I lost that box of memorabilia, and I had to think my way out of it, right? And so I did that by coming to, like I said, the conclusion that what I really cared about was the memories that were attached to those things. So when you're keeping things, think about what's the motivation for keeping them. Could you still love the memory without keeping the thing? Maybe it is important to you. There's some stuff I'm never letting go, ever. It's okay. I get to keep some stuff, right? Cultivate a gratitude practice to make letting go easier. I watch the Marie Kondo episodes on Netflix. I love that she thanks things when she's done with them. She takes them and she says, I want to thank you for your service. I appreciate all you've done in my life. And then you put that into the Goodwill bin. Having gratitude, thanking it is a little ceremonial, ritualistic, maybe a little bit of fooling for our brains, right? But yet, part of the process of letting things go. It can really help to say thank you and really have gratitude for things that have served us, but maybe no longer have a place in our life, and we're ready to just let go and move on. I like to think of this. I like to think I've loved this, and now it's time for someone else to love this. Just as I love thrift stores and garage sales and estate sales, I love to love other people's things. Sometimes when you buy other people's things, they come infused with energy or feelings that are real. They're real. So I like to think about that happening to someone as maybe I let go of things and it goes to the Salvation Army and someone picks it up and maybe they feel my energy and how much I loved that item when it was mine. These are just little ways to help us let go, right? Try not to compare yourself or your things or your homes to others. What's good for you? What do you love? There's no keeping up with the Joneses. Nobody cares what stuff you have. Anybody that's judging you by what stuff you have or don't have, is it really your friend? Right? Letting go of some things helps us to hold on to the things we love the most. When you're discerning, when you have to make decisions, when you have to say, I can let go of this, but I need to keep this one. At least I'm keeping something, right? That's helping me let go of that one. Letting go of the things helps us, like I said, to hold on. It's okay. Tyler Durden said, the things you own in life end up owning you. Well, this can be true. Sometimes the maintenance of things is exhausting, right? The moving around, the picking them up. So slowly get rid of items with sentimental value. You might try to display it. Maybe you take some kids' old artwork, or maybe even your favorite old t-shirt and you make a pillow out of it, right? That's what I keep saying I'm going to do with the old t-shirts in my closet. Make something that you can display with it. If you have a bunch of frames, a bunch of pictures of the kids, put 5 or 6 pictures in one frame. Rotate them out a little bit, right? Offer things to a family member. As I let go of things, I definitely offer them to my kids first. They got memories too. These are things that might have been sitting around the house their whole lives. In fact, one of the things that I own and treasure, I should have brought it in here to show you. It's a little brass pot. It looks a little bit like Aladdin's lamp, except taller. And it's got a spout on the top. This was something my mom owned when I was a very small child. And I spent hours playing with this thing, rubbing it like a genie was going to come out of it, playing a tea party as I poured it because the lid actually came back and it had the cutest little handle. I played with it for hours and it sits on my bar now, and that's a prized possession. I'm not letting that go. But I am letting a lot of stuff go. When you let go, you don't live with less at all. You're simply making space for things that matter. You're getting rid of things that maybe used to have an importance in your life, used to carry, used to be impactful or meaningful or purposeful, but now just have the memory. Now we have that, what did we call that? Endowment syndrome, where just because we once owned it or someone we love once owned it. I've seen this happen twice with people. Elaine May says, I still love the shadow box you made of my wedding invitation and flowers. Yay, Elaine. Isn't that so fun? I love to give shadow boxes as gifts, right? If I go to weddings or I go to parties and I sneak around and I steal things, a little bit of baby's breath from the bouquet, a tiny piece of wedding cake, some flower, a little bit of flowers from the tables, and I make a little shadow box because that's a memory, right? Those things, what are they going to do? Sit in a drawer somewhere, but in a shadow box. It's a thing. You can remember them. I love it. So many of us still live overcrowded, busy lives, right? That sometimes they rob us of what really matters. Sometimes we're so busy keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up the appearances, acquiring the latest and greatest stuff that we got to have, right? That we really miss out on what really matters. We wait, we bide our time. We think we're going to be happy when the big things happen, when we get that new TV. Boy, isn't this living room going to be fantastic, right? We realizing the good stuff is happening right now. You can enjoy your movie just as much on the 55 inches, the 75-inch, when you're surrounded by your family and you got homemade popcorn in your lap and you're all laughing together, right? Does it really matter how many inches or how big that screen is? So here's another thought is keep one, lose the rest, right? I had a bunch of t-shirts I had in a pile of t-shirts I loved that I was never going to get rid of. A t-shirt about this big. So again, had to make a decision. Kept the two that were just the most important to me. Sometimes it helps to have a friend help you. Sometimes it helps to have a friend help you be objective about what you're going to keep and what you're going to give away, right? And you hold up an outfit that you loved and you've worn and you have so many great memories in, but there's not a chance you're putting it on your body today. And you hold it up and you look, but maybe I'm going to wear this. And your friend can say, are you? Sometimes you need a little reality check, right? But keep some stuff. If you have a collection that you no longer need to display or want to have, keep one. Keep one of the pieces, your favorite piece. But maybe you don't have 10 of them instead, right? Maybe keeping one sentimental plate on display can be more meaningful than keeping all 12 and hidden away in a box in the closet, right? Acknowledge and cherish the memories, but lose the clutter. If you can't, like I said, this is a great idea. This happened to me accidentally, but you can do it. Photograph the item before you let it go. Put it in your photograph, your album, your photograph album, right? Take a picture and stick it on your computer to pull out once in a while and look at and enjoy that memory without having to keep the thing, right? Make it into something functional so it's more useful. Turn your dad's old flannel shirt into a pillow, right? I've seen so many quilts made from old favorite childhood clothes or, I love that idea. I wish I was a quilt maker because I think that's a fantastic way to keep things. But take material and use it as a background to, take material and cover a cardboard and use it as the background to save something on. Lots of ways you can do it. Sell it. Donate the money to charity, right? Or then you feel good about your choice, right? Or give your items, like I said, to something you support. I love the Salvation Army. I support the work they do. I love to give things to them and help them carry out their mission. Give items away knowing that what you've been holding on to will now bring some joy to others. That's right. Just because it moves out of your life, it's not moving out of this world. Just your world. So, the goal is balance, right? Keep some stuff, let some stuff go. It's not the things that are important. It's the memory that's important. Clean out the closet. Keep the best, the most important, the ones you can't live without, the stuff you're going to grab in the fire project, right? In My House is on Fire project. Keep those things. They're important to you, but not everything you own is in that category. And then finally, like I said, a lot of times our objects come to us infused with energy or emotion, or I don't know what you want to call it. This is I don't know. I'm supposing it's what do you call it? A weight, a desk weight. Having a moment. I can't think of what they call it. It's just heavy. It's heavy. It's a little bar. I don't know what's made of. Black. It's got these little butterflies on it. It weighs a ton. You'd be really surprised. A paperweight. That's what I mean. You'd be just amazed at just how heavy this is. And this was Georgia, Richard, my man's mom's, and she was really important to me. And this was on her desk, and I put it on my desk. It's tiny, and it sits, right under my monitor, but it's infused with her. I feel her when I touch this and hold it. I know she's close. Sometimes I just reach out and touch it. Just a quick touch with my finger. Just to touch it, right? So how do you charge an object with intention? If you're sending things out and you want to I like to know that the next guy's going to love my stuff, right? The next person. So how do you charge it with some intention? So we're going to keep some stuff. We're going to keep clear on why we're keeping it, right? What memory or lesson do they bring to you? And then you charge an object, you can charge it. Just hold it. Just look at it. Just think about the emotion you want it to carry. I want this to be infused with love and gratitude and happiness and joy for everyone who touches or uses this object. And then put it in your Salvation Army box and know that you're sending a little happiness out into the world along with that old blouse you're never going to wear again. So that's the show for today. Think about your stuff. I'm not saying you can't keep all your stuff if it's not bugging you, if it's all good for you. That's great. I know for me, as I look around my house, I just feel the need to let some things go. And that's what I'm getting ready to do. So we'll stay in touch on the getting rid of stuff project and how that's going. I'm going to try to tackle a room a day and see what can march out the door, right? And still be leading a happy, blessed, wonderful life. So that's our show for today. Thank you for watching. If you're watching it on the replay, leave me a message. Love to know if you're enjoying the show, if there's any topics you'd like to discuss, what your thoughts are and what you saw today. I'd love to hear from you. If you think there's a friend who might enjoy hearing this, love it if you'd share me. Love it if you'd share this show. Like me, heart me, love the emotions. Emojis is what I meant to say. All right, that's it for today. Until tomorrow.